Welcome to an introduction to the Disability Services Program for faculty, Introduction to DSP, as you may know it. How to contact the DSP office. Our phone number is 707-864-7136. If you want to call to talk to somebody for some advice or if you want to help a student make an appointment. We are also located in Building 400 in room 407 next to counseling and across from admissions and records if you want to come see us in person. If a student has a diagnosed disability, make sure the student comes to the DSP office or sets up an appointment by phone to register so that we can get them the resources and accommodations needed to be successful. They'll meet with the DSP counselor to discuss next steps and accommodations. If the student has already been through the DSP office, they should give you an accommodation sheet so that you can see what they need to be successful in your class. They've been advised to give you their accommodation sheets during office hours so that you have time to discuss them. They should not simply be throwing them at you at the end of class or right before class starts. So if that happens, nicely say, why don't you come to my office hours so we can discuss this? The point is so that you can get to know one another and so that you can discuss what their needs are. You are required by law to provide the accommodations listed on their sheet if a student wants them. If there's a problem with an accommodation, perhaps the sensitivity of subject matter makes recording lectures a problem, then you're legally responsible for providing an alternative and equivalent accommodation, such as providing lecture notes. So if they want to record something and you are not comfortable with it, you have to provide something other than that that's equivalent. You can't just say no. You have to offer an equivalent substitution. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act states that if you know, suspect, or believe a student has an inability to read, write, speak, see, hear, walk, etc., that hinders major life functioning, that person must be considered disabled. That means reasonable accommodations must be provided regardless of whether that student is registered with DSP. Kristen Connor is the 504 coordinator on campus. We would, of course, prefer students to register with DSP office because it's easier to get them services and accommodations that way. And we also receive state money for students registered with DSP, but not students served under 504. So try to get students to come to the DSP office. If you suspect a student has a learning disability but has not been diagnosed, gently send the student to the DSP office or have them call to set up an appointment for an intake interview and possible testing so that we can get them answers as soon as possible. Don't tell them, I think you have a learning disability. Suggest that they may be able to get some extra help that will help them succeed in your class by going to the DSP office. Once a disability has been established, we can get them the accommodations and services they need through DSP. If a student does not wish to be part of DSP, we cannot force them. It can only be a suggestion. So even if a student has given you their accommodations form that says they want extra time on tests, if they choose to not take that extra time, that's their choice. We do have DSP resources online at solano.edu. I was unaware of these until I started working in this position, so I'm not surprised if some of you aren't aware either. If you go to solano.edu and go down to counseling, and then services, and then disability services program, we have general information, office hours, and things like that, but there's links for students, parents, and faculty. If you click on faculty, you will see tons of information, tips for making online content accessible, faculty DSP quick reference, faculty resources on disability, other resources, accessibility resources. So take advantage of that as a set of resources. We also have DSP counselors that will help with ed plans specifically tailored with student needs in mind and help determine what accommodations will help them to be successful. Accommodations such as extra time on tests or the ability to use technology will help students to be successful. And then the LD specialist coordinator will help students with specific learning strategies for in and out of class that will help them to be successful. And I will help faculty learn how to best help students with disabilities learn in their classrooms. To this end, I will meet with students and faculty individually and also be holding workshops for faculty and students throughout the semester. If you would like me to come in and observe your classroom, that's also an option. If you would like me to meet with you and a student, that's also an option. I am a resource for you for anything you need. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Good luck with your semester.